This is section 6.1 on ratios. A ratio is a comparison of two quantities with the same units. So if we write a ratio comparing green apples to red apples, we look at the number of green apples we have, and we have 3 green apples, and we have the number of red apples is 4. And the units are the same, 3 apples to 4 apples. And when we write ratios, because the units are the same, the units are going to divide out. And we're going to end up with a comparison of two numbers, and numerator and denominator are both going to be whole numbers. So we always want to have a whole number in the numerator and a whole number in the denominator. We can write a ratio in 3 different ways. So the ratio of A to B can be written A to B, and it could be written with a colon, A to B, or it could be written as a fraction. A over B is also the comparison of A to B. Next, we have an algebra class, and there's 13 women and 17 men. So we're going to write the ratio of women to men. So we have 13 women to 17 men. This could also be written 13 to 17 or 13 to 17. I will usually use a fraction. Write the ratio of men to women. So clearly order counts. Women to men here, men to women. So we look at the number of men, and that's 17, and the number of women, and that's 13. So order counts. Write the ratio of women to the total number of people in the class. So women is my numerator, and total number of people in the class is my denominator. So the number of women is 13, and the total number in the class is 13 plus 17, or 30. So my ratio is 13 to 30. Next, we're going to write ratios in lowest terms. And so we have 10 pounds to 14 pounds. And our units cancel, and you can reduce 10 to 14 in any number of ways. You can use your calculator. You can do the prime factorization of 10, which is 2 times 5, and 14, which is 2 times 7, and divide out your common factor. And our reduced ratio is going to be 5 to 7. Next, we're going to reduce 20 feet to 12 feet. Again, the feet are canceling, and we're reducing 20 to 12. 20 to 12. So if I break down 20 into its prime factors, it's 2 times 10, which is 2 times 2 times 5, and 12, which is 2 times 6, or 2 times 2 times 3. So I am left with 5 to 3. Notice that I cannot do 1 and 2/3 because that's no longer a comparison of two numbers. So 5 to 3. We're going to write the ratio in lowest terms with whole numbers in the numerator and denominator. I have 10.15 hours to 8.12 hours. So my hours cancel. If I take 10.15 divided by 8.12 and multiply numerator and denominator by 100, I am going to be left with 1015 over 812, and then I can reduce this. So if I look at breaking down 1015 15 into its prime factors. I see that's 5 times 203. And 812 is 4 times 203, or 2 times 2 times 203. So my 203s cancel, and I'm left with 5 to 4. Now, we can also put this into a calculator. If we do 10.15 divided by 8.12, we're left with 1.25. And then I'm gonna change that decimal to a fraction, and your calculator can do that. Now, we can't have 1 1/4, so I'm going to change that to the improper fraction, 5 to 4. So all of these can be done in a calculator, or they can be done by hand. 18.50 to 3.70. Again, I would multiply by 100 over 100. Doing this by hand, I'd be left with 1850 over 370. First, I'd divide by 10 over 10, and that will shorten this up to 185 over 37. And 185 is divisible by 37, and that equals 5. But my answer has to be a comparison of two quantities, so it's going to have to be written as 5 to 1. We're going to practice writing ratios with whole numbers, and I have 24 yards to 13 1/3 yards. So again, the yards are canceling, and this is 24 divided by 13 1/3. So I'm going to rewrite that with numerators and denominators. So I have 24 over 1 divided by 3 times 13 is 39, plus 1 is 40 over 3. So I'm going to keep the first fraction and multiply by the reciprocal of the second fraction. And then I'm going to recognize 8 goes into 24 3 times and 5 times. And I'm left with 9 to 5. And 1 1/4 divided by 1 3/8. That's 5/4 divided by 11/8. So I'm going to keep, change, and flip. And I'm left with 10 to 11. In 1981, a giant sinkhole in Winter Park, Florida swallowed a home, a public pool, and a car dealership, including 5 Porsches. One witness said that in a single day, the hole widened from 5 feet in diameter to 320 feet. So what is the increase in diameter? So if it went from 5 to 320, it increased 315 feet. We're going to write a ratio representing the increase in diameter, so that's the 315 feet it increased, to the original diameter of 5 feet. And so we're going to take 315 and divide it by 5, and that equals 63. But remember, a ratio has no units, whole number in the numerator and denominator, so that's going to be 63 over 1. And finally, we have a construction company that needs 2 weeks to construct a family room and 3 days to add a porch. Find the ratio of the time it takes for constructing a porch to the time it takes for constructing a family room. All right, so to construct a porch, we need 2 weeks. And the family room was 2 weeks, and the porch was 3 days. Now, we can't divide these units out because they're not the same. but I'm going to convert 2 weeks to 14 days. And then I can compare 14 days to 3 days, and my days cancel. And my reduced ratio is going to be 14 to 3.